There are rumors going around that seem pretty legit that Nintendo, any day now, possibly next week, is going to announce the N64 Classic Edition, N64 Mini. Those rumors apparently are coming out from, quote, legitimate sources, and the rumor is that they're going to be doing a second Nintendo Direct, probably next week, to make this big reveal. And apparently they're kind of behind the ball. They wanted to have it ready before, but it just wasn't ready. And there was even leaked pictures that came out. So I think it's legit. I think they are going to, because if they don't release it now, they're going to have to wait till next year's Christmas time. Like, that's the best time to do it. They've always released around Christmas time. So if they're going to do it, they have to release it soon.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is now the right time to do it and compete with the PlayStation, or are you excited for this thing?
If they're announcing it next week, okay, so first off, let's move forward on the assumption that this is happening, that they are releasing the thing. I don't feel like debating the what ifs of whether or not they're going to, because honestly, it's pretty likely. They've been making money off this shit so far. They're not going to stop now. So moving forward on the assumption that they are in fact releasing an N64 Mini or Classic or whatever the fuck they're going to call it.
Yeah.
In terms of whether or not now is the right time, depends. If they're... Now you say next week, but by the time this goes online, it might be past that. So if they are announcing it next week from the time we're recording this, or if it's already been announced by the time this goes up, and it's on shelves by the start of December, I think that'll be fine. If not, they might miss their window, because if it goes past Christmas, by the time it'll be a good idea to release again, this whole thing might have died down. People might have people are stupid. They buy into all sorts of consumer bullshit, but they do catch on eventually. That's why industries do come up with new stuff and they do innovate, but only once they realize people have started to catch on.
I think you could be right. So there's a bit of a craze going on right now with these mini consoles.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but I think it's a fad. I think it's going to become a fad.
It's very much a fad.
It's like Pog back in the day.
Yeah,
it's
and
the next
like any fad, it's going to pass.
Yeah, it's going to pass, and then the market is going to get so saturated with these consoles that nobody's going to care anymore. You're going to have your ColecoVision, your Atari, your Sega, every company on the planet, whoever had a console, is going to have a...
If they release an Atari Mini, the only thing I want on it is E.T.
Hey, you know what? That'll be on there. And they will release it.
It'll be on there because they know that absurdity will sell it.
Yeah, it has to be on there. It has to. It's like one of the most iconic Atari games, if not the number one.
It's the flagship of how you nuked the video game industry.
Yeah, it has to be on there. It'll be the main selling feature for sure. It'll be right on the box.
Yeah.
E.T. has become
featuring the worst game ever made.
The Mario of Atari has become E.T. Right, it's true, right?
But anyways, yeah, if Nintendo can get it out fast enough to sell for the Christmas season, it's probably a good idea for them to bring it out. I'm not a marketing expert, but I would say that if they miss this Christmas launch, it might be a better idea not to put it out at all. Just cancel the project, because this thing's going to pass, and they might have missed their window entirely by then.
I do think even if the fad dies for the mini consoles, because it's Nintendo, if anybody can still sell these classic editions, it's Nintendo, and they're still going to make money no matter what.
I mean, that's true. Nintendo could be like, hey, some of our executives shit in a box. We would like to sell it to you for $100 per box.
I would buy one right now.
Yeah, the Nintendo fans are fucking insane.
Yeah, oh, they are. They're like Apple. They're like Apple fans. They'll buy anything Nintendo puts out.
I mean, I hate that I like Nintendo's games. I mean, they make good games. That's a fair assessment. But Nintendo fans are among the worst fans in the world. The fan base is just so fucking rabid about how they defend Nintendo. I have seen people get death threats for not giving Breath of the Wild 9 out of 10 or better.
Holy crap. And you know what? I hate to say it. People are going to...
It's not even like they said Breath of the Wild's a terrible game. No, they said 7 out of 10. This is a good game. I like this game. People were like, well, fuck you. You have to die because you didn't think it was the best game ever. What the fuck? Chill out, Nintendo fans.
Well, you know what? Those same fans are going to hate me then because I don't know what it is. I just don't really like Breath of the Wild. I
could tell you what it is, and it's the weapon durability system, but we're not going to get into that right now.
I'm really hardcore retro. Maybe that's my problem, but I would prefer I'll take Ocarina of Time over Breath of the Wild any day.
Well, we can talk about Breath of the Wild on a different
that's a whole
different chat.
Yeah,
that's a whole other subject. We'll go over hyped games and whether or not we think they deserve it and why. Yeah, we could turn that into a series, hype games, where we talk about like 2 or 3 games that are super well liked and talk about whether or not we think we deserve it. Those games deserve it and why. That'd be good.
I will
write that down.
I'll mention one thing though. If they do come out with this N64 Classic, which I think they will, my worry is
back on topic, I guess.
My worry is that the same thing is going to happen. They don't understand just how much demand there is. I think that the N64 Classic would vastly outsell the NES and the Super Nintendo Classic combined. That's how popular.
I mean, probably there is a ton of love for the N64, and yeah, if they release it, the same bottleneck thing is going to happen. They're going to artificially restrict the supply. There's going to be scalpers who gobble up the first releases and then resell them for a ridiculous amount.
I think I could, even with them producing more, it's still going to get sold out and the scalpers are still going to take over. That's what I think is going to happen, and that's what I'm worried about.
They could just produce to meet demand like everyone else.
I wish that they would, but they won't do it. I just cannot picture them. Because they said they are going to intentionally make not enough. They said they would produce to demand with the Super Nintendo, but they're clueless as to what their demand was. They said, don't buy from the scalpers, more shipments are coming. And of course, those new shipments came and they got sold out within seconds. And there was still not enough demand to meet Christmas. And there were still scalpers selling them. They were sold for less. They weren't as profitable because, there was more that got shipped.
Yeah, there was more supply, but still not enough.
Yeah, there was still not enough, and therefore the consoles were still getting sold for $150,
I don't know.
$200.
Maybe they'll learn their lesson. Maybe they won't. Who knows?
But I do think the library of the N64, it's a small library, but to get 20 good games on there is incredibly easy, and every single one of those games is like a system.
I can tell you 20 games off the top of my head. Yeah. Let's start with 5. I mean, I want disclaimer first. I don't actually necessarily think every game I list is a good game, just that it'd be a good game to have on the N64 Mini.
Yes.
Moving ahead. Yeah. Both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Oh, definitely.
Super Mario 64. Mario Kart Racing.
Yep.
Mario Kart 64. Yeah.
Yep.
Mega Man 64 would need to go on there.
Oh, I really wish that they would put that on there.
People would love it. They'd lose their mind over that. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I hope so.
GoldenEye needs to go on there.
Yep.
Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding.
Yep, I can see that.
What else? Just off the top of my head. Sorry, people are messaging me.
Mario Party. That's mandatory.
Mario Party 2 needs to go on there. Mario Party 2 is, to this day, the most popular and well-liked Mario Party game.
Yeah, it's true. It's my favorite as well.
How many games are we at? I wasn't counting.
I wasn't counting either. Turok. Probably Turok 2. Yeah.
Yeah, Turok 2 would need to go on there. I would love if Perfect Dark would go on there instead of GoldenEye because GoldenEye sucks. But real talk, GoldenEye will sell and Perfect Dark won't.
I would say if
I get that, I understand that.
it's true. Yeah, it's true. If they need a real racing game on there, I would say one of the Cruisin' World games, Cruisin' World, Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' Exotica, any of them.
If they want a better racing game on there than Mario Kart 64, which they should absolutely have Mario Kart 64,
Oh, that's
but
mandatory.
they should also have Diddy Kong Racing because Diddy Kong Racing was amazing and everybody loved it.
Yeah. It's almost like 20 games.
And they need
is not enough.
to have Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, 20 games is not enough. They would need more. Snowboard Kids, number 2, preferably.
Yeah.
I'm a big Duke Nukem 64 fan. I would argue that one, but
I never played Duke Nukem 64. I would say probably Doom 64 would serve them better.
I don't think they ever would.
Doom 64
but it would be
held
nice.
up pretty well.
I never played Doom 64.
It survived the transfer to the N64 honestly surprisingly well. It was pretty solid.
What about Battle Tanks? You ever play that one?
Oh, Battle Tanks was amazing.
That was
Yes,
fun.
Battle Tanks.
That was a great game.
I totally forgot about Battle Tanks. Battle Tanks was so good. I have so many Battle Tank stories I could.
And it would fit on there. Like people would love it. And you know what?
Absolutely.
You know what the best
Because
part is?
it'd be that nice, different game that would mix it up a bit, as well as just being a really high quality game.
Yeah, that game was like back in the day. It was like the king of kings for 4-player games. It was right up there with
Star
GoldenEye.
Fox 64 needs to go on there.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, definitely.
Star Fox 64 is super popular. Honestly, I don't know if it needs to go on there, but Jet Force Gemini was amazing, I feel like it should go on there.
I would say put it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have lost track.
Pilot Wing 64 would be good.
Yeah, that'd be a good choice. I wouldn't play it, but
Harvest Moon 64, I would argue that one.
I don't know. Harvest Moon 64 didn't have a whole lot of following.
Maybe it's not as popular as I thought.
I mean, it's popular because it's Harvest Moon, but at the end of the day, it's Harvest Moon that's super popular, not any of the things that came after it, right?
I got a good hidden gem for you.
Oh?
You ever play Chameleon Twist?
I did not.
It's a great platformer for N64. But number 2 would be better, but number 2 came out later in the lifespan. It wasn't all that popular. But it was a superior game to number 1.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
You know, I thought
has to be
about that. I don't think they would put it on there just because it wouldn't make it
Probably
kid
not.
friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some, adult content.
Yeah, it would be nice though if they did put it on. That would be a system seller if they did put it on there.
Well, the thing is, why would they need to worry about making it kid friendly? They're not selling to children. They're selling to us. They're selling to 30-plus-year-olds who played this shit when they were kids and teenagers and want to buy it again.
You know, it would be funny if it actually got on there. Maybe it will. Hey, who knows, right? Maybe it will.
I wouldn't count on it, or even GoldenEye for the same reason, because I don't know all the details, but I'm given to understand that because Rare, the company that made those games, they don't really exist anymore, right? They got bought out, and now there's some licensing issues. Though, actually, fun fact about Conker's Bad Fur Day. Remember I mentioned earlier Diddy Kong Racing?
Yes.
Diddy was not actually supposed to be in Diddy Kong Racing. When Diddy Kong Racing was first pitched and presented, it had all the characters that were in it except for Diddy Kong. And every other character in the game was an original character to that game.
Oh,
and they
wow.
called it some, and they didn't call it Diddy Kong Racing, obviously. They called it, I don't know, they had some, fun, kid-friendly name for a racing game. But every other character was an original character because it was supposed to be a completely original property. And Nintendo said, well, we don't actually think that's going to sell. Put Diddy Kong in there because he's kid friendly and that will sell the
That
game,
that
right?
name alone will sell it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and they were right, it did. However, there were two characters in that original lineup of characters that went on to other games, Banjo and Conker.
Oh, is that where Banjo came from?
Banjo and Conker both came from Diddy Kong Racing.
I had no idea.
Banjo went on to Banjo-Kazooie, which was another kid-friendly game, the originator of the Collectathon. And Conker went on to Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh, wow.
Which is not at all for
I
kids.
didn't I used to play Diddy Kong like all the time, Diddy Kong Racing, but I never realized that that was Banjo, and I don't even remember Conker being in there.
Yeah. Conker was in that lineup, and
Oh.
in Diddy Kong Racing, he was this just fun, fluffy squirrel in a sweater, right? But then they ported the model over to Conker's Bad Fur Day, kept the name obviously, and then just made this completely not kid game.
Wow,
Tons of
that's
fun.
interesting. Yeah, there are so many, like Fighting Force 64 I think would be a good game to throw in there too.
But we are dancing around the major issue. If they were to release an N64 Mini, the games are not the important thing. The important thing is they would have to fix that goddamn controller. The N64 controller is the worst controller in the history of video game controllers, including third-party controllers. And third-party N64 controllers are straight from hell.
Oh, the third-party ones are the worst. You cannot. They're unusable. They're not even playable.
And I don't even blame third-party controllers for the third-party N64 controllers being such shit, because the N64 controller is the worst thing to model a controller after. It was an awful controller. I loved the N64. I had so many games for it, and I loved playing it, and I spent tons of hours on the N64. But I never liked that controller.
You're gonna hate me. I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of hate for this a long time ago. I made a video about this, but I'm one of the very few people that actually loves that controller. The design, at least. The thumbstick would always get busted and whatnot.
We can't be friends anymore.
Yeah, I know. I got a lot of hate for it when I made a video about that. A lot of hate. A lot of haters came out. It was around the time when remember that Retro Fighters, I think they were called. They made a new N64 controller. I don't know if you heard about that. They made it the way it should have been made.
Fighters, Hybrid Heaven needs to be on the N64 Mini.
Hybrid Heaven. Oh, that's that weird fighting hybrid game or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like this. It's honestly kind of like a wrestling game, except it's a sci-fi adventure thing where you're fighting robots and aliens, but it handles like a wrestling game. It's tons of fun.
I wanted to buy it back in the day. It had a lot of hype, and that's all I remember.
It was
I
honestly
never did.
super good.
Yeah. Oh, even Mario Golf. That was a classic. If you're gonna throw, or Mario Tennis was actually way better. Mario Tennis N64 is my favorite version. Which is weird because the GameCube version is actually better, but maybe it's the nostalgia speaking. Yeah. I think it's the nostalgia speaking.
Yeah, I liked Mario Tennis for the N64. That was fun. It was a good game.
It's the only tennis game that I really like.
And obviously
always play.
Obviously, Super Smash Brothers has to be on there.
Oh yeah, Super Smash Bro. Forgot about that.
And you know what else has to be on there? And I hate that I'm saying this. Pokemon Snap.
Oh, that's for sure. You know what? They will put that on there. They have to.
Pokemon Snap has such a huge following.
Yeah.
People love it. I think it's the worst game ever made.
I'm not a fan.
I don't actually think it's the worst game ever made, but it does commit to the worst sin a game can commit, and that is it's goddamn boring. Nothing happens in the entire game. You sit on a rail and you take pictures.
Yeah, I rented it back in the day, and I barely even played the first level. I didn't like it. It was too boring. I couldn't get into it.
It's such a boring game. Nothing happens. But it has a huge following. There are lots of people who love it. And I'm not going to say they're wrong to love it. There are legitimate reasons to enjoy that kind of game. I don't share any of those reasons, but I get it. Yeah. And it would definitely sell the console. You know what I bet they're going to? Okay, I'm going to bet you a pizza.
Okay.
That they are going to put this game on there and people are going to hate them for it. Quest 64.
Oh,
Quest 64 is actually one of the worst games ever made.
That's a controversial title, but it wouldn't actually surprise me if they did put it on there. That was a launch title, wasn't it?
They are totally going to put it on there.
It was a launch title,
It was their
right?
big RP. Well, yeah. It wasn't a launch title, but it was their big first RPG release for the N64.
Okay, yeah, I know it was an early. It was probably the first RPG then, right? Is that what you just said?
It was the first RPG released for the N64, as far as I know.
Yeah. I will laugh if they put it on there. I'm not going to bet. I'm not taking that bet, though.
Oh, no. Quest 64 was just awful. Oh, man.
It was probably rushed. It must have been.
It's likely that it was rushed, but even rushed, it doesn't excuse it because nothing about it is good. There's nothing really redeemable about it, right? With a rushed game, you can say to yourself a lot of the time, okay, this could have been good, but they didn't have the time to flesh out their ideas. With Quest 64, yeah, it seems like maybe they didn't have time to flesh out their ideas, but they were bad ideas.
Yeah, that's true.
So it might have actually even been worse if it wasn't rushed, and who knows whether or not it actually was. It was just a bad game all around.
I think they'll have Blast Corps on there. That was a launch title, I believe, and it was actually a good game.
I don't know that one.
I don't know if it would be more classified as a puzzle game or what, but basically you blow up buildings within a certain time limit and use different vehicles and stuff.
Bomberman 64 would kill it on there.
Oh, that'd be a great one. Oh yeah, and it is actually a 4-player console. The leaked photos, it is 4-player, and it has to be.
Well, no, it has to be because 4 players was the selling point of the N64.
It was the main selling feature. In fact, it was probably the only reason.
The N64 had 2 huge selling points: 4 players.
Yep.
And 64-bit graphics.
Yeah,
which is to this day the only console with 64-bit graphics.
Yeah, you're right. I bought it solely for the 4-player. The final kicker for me, I think, was GoldenEye. That's when I bought the console.
Lots of people bought it just for the 4-player, and the 4-player was awesome. I mean, I had fun playing GoldenEye, which says a lot because GoldenEye is a shitty-ass game, but I had a lot of fun playing it because of the 4-player.
Yeah, it was all about the 4-player. You're right. It was all about the 4-player. And I had, I used to play that game 24/7, Mario Kart and 007. But the great thing about 007 back in the day was that anybody could play. You didn't need to be good, per se, to just pick up the controller and shoot people. You didn't have to be good.
That's one thing that Nintendo does really well with a lot of their multiplayer stuff is they do a great job of having a low skill floor and a high skill ceiling.
Yes,
anybody can play and anybody can get into it. They're always super accessible, and if you spend the time to get good, you will still be rewarded for that.
Do you remember?
And that's a hard balance to strike.
It is. It's very hard, and it was a game that surprisingly people that generally wouldn't pick up and play those types of games would come over for GoldenEye parties.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you an example. Somebody that you would know. Do you remember Ken Tello?
I mean, yeah.
He would play it all the time. That guy's not into that types of game. He plays football games and basketball games, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But he loved GoldenEye.
Speaking of football, they would have to have Madden on there, which sucks because NFL Blitz was better.
But which Madden, if they had to pick?
I don't know. There's like 2,000 of them.
Yeah, 99
I'm pretty sure right now there's 2019 different Madden games. That's what I get by reading the title anyways.
That's probably accurate. I'm just reviewing a list and I see Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. That was a classic.
Yeah, no, they'd have to have it on there because it would sell, but that's actually... Yeah. Okay, the thing is, Shadows of the Empire, really popular, and I get why, but... the people who like it don't remember why they like it. The first level in Shadows of the Empire, the Battle of Hoth, friggin' amazing level. It was super well designed. It was tons of fun. Great level.
Yes.
The last
I do
level in
remember
Shadows
that.
of the Empire, also really good. A lot of fun. It's this end thing where you're flying your spaceship and shooting stuff, and it's a great level and a ton of fun. Every single level in between is shit. Every single level between the first level and the last level is not actually fun. They're bad. The controls suck. Everything sucks.
Oh, the controls were
just
awful.
the word. Just awful. But the first level was great. The controls worked and it was fun. The last level was great. The controls worked and it was fun. And that's what people remember. People remember the experience they had when they picked up the controller, and people remember the experience they had when they finished the game. And that makes sense. That's what people think about. So people remember Shadows of the Empire being good, even though it was only good at the beginning and the end.
And that first level was like mind-blowing back in the day.
It was amazing.
It was truly mind-blowing. So I think you're right. That is, when you think Shadows of the Empire, everybody remembers that first level is the first thing that you think of.
And the cheat codes. The cheat codes in the game were super fun.
Wait, I didn't know there was cheat codes. I missed out on that. What did they do?
All sorts of cool shit. You could be a Wampa.
Oh, dang. See, I just
great.
rented it. Maybe that's why I didn't know. But that adds replayability. Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, another one that I would love to see on there, which won't be on there, is Paper Mario, which was the first good RPG for the N64.
You know what? They would have to put that on there because they do need at least some sort of RPG on there.
Not necessarily. The N64 wasn't really known for its RPGs. That wasn't really one of the selling points of it, and
Zelda sort of takes that role over.
They're not going to put Majora's Mask on there, which pisses me off.
Why is that?
They should. They absolutely should put Majora's Mask on there because Majora's Mask is in every way better than Ocarina of Time.
Why wouldn't they put it on there? I thought for sure they would.
Because, well, Majora's Mask has something of a cult following and a lot of popularity. The sales numbers of Majora's Mask were not Ocarina of Time. And
right?
a lot of people felt alienated by the shift in tone between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Well, it was very different.
Yeah, it was better in every way. You cannot name me one way in which Ocarina of Time was better than Majora's Mask.
I wasn't...
Except the sales figures.
Yeah, I have heard nothing but good things about Majora's Mask. That's true. And it has a very hardcore cult following. They are some of the most hardcore of all cult followers.
Yes, we are.
Or are you in the cult? Is that what you're saying?
I strongly believe Majora's Mask is better than Ocarina of Time, and more than that, I strongly believe that Majora's Mask is actually an excellent game, whereas I don't believe Ocarina of Time is. I believe Ocarina of Time is a good game. It's fine. It's okay.
Right.
It's not great. And people will hang me up by my toenails for saying that. But, again, a topic for a different episode.
Now, you know what I would love to see?
What?
And maybe this will happen if this fad continues. We don't know how long this could go, but maybe these mini consoles are popular for the next 5 years. And
okay.
If they are, they're
going to run out of shit.
They're for sure going to come out with a version 2 of every single one of these, and they're going to come out with like what I would call the quote hidden gems version. So the first version has all your iconic classics, and then the second version would have your hidden gems that were great games that, you know, maybe didn't sell all that well.
Yeah, I could see that. If the fad holds long enough, I think that's what they'll do.
Because if it does hold that long, it's a license to print money regardless. So all they have to do is throw another make a version 2 with another 20 games.
Another 20 games that didn't sell so well, but got a lot of critical acclaim. That's easy to do. Majora's Mask, Nightmare Creatures, fucking Perfect Dark.
Yeah. Oh, they could. Yeah. There's so many. It's a console with a very small amount of games, but there's enough on there to say that there's 40 great ones.
The Nintendo 64 is a perfect example of what the game industry should be doing, because the library of games is kind of small compared to a lot of other consoles, but the quality in that library is huge, and the Nintendo 64 is remembered to this day as one of the best consoles ever released.
Absolutely.
Because the quality of the games there. Nintendo at that time was super hardcore about the quality of their games. And I mean, you had the occasional Quest 64 that slipped through. But
yeah, they don't have,
for the most part,
there's for the most part no shovelware on N64. It's a small library, but every game,
Quest 64, you can confidently say is not shovelware because it was an attempt at creativity. It wasn't good.
Yeah, they tried.
But they were whoever was doing it. I mean, no offense to them that their game wasn't good, but they made an effort. You can tell that there was an investment, that they tried to make a good game, and they just didn't understand how to make a good game.
Yeah, and the console itself, it has a ton of racing games on it. It's known as being basically a racing game console. But if you're into those types of games, the racers
I had N64 forever, and I never thought of it as a racing game console.
It's because you kind of got to be into the racing games. Like the racing games make up the vast majority of it's probably the most popular. Like in terms of how many games there are in each genre, racing games are the number one on the N64.
I suppose it depends on how you break it down, because like Twisted Edge, which was a snowboarding game, is basically a racing game. You're just on snowboards instead of cars.
Even if you go just the car games, like the N64 has a reputation for being a racing console, which is not great for people like me. I'm not really into racing games, but from that perspective, if you do like racing games, there's actually a lot of really good racers. They're quality racers. Like they're not shovelware racers.
And that's good. I mean, people who like racing games. I like racing games like Diddy Kong Racing, where I could fly a plane. That was fun.
Yeah, I'm into the kart racers too. The kart racers are classics.
They're fun. You get to do cool shit. I get to throw turtle shells at people. That's awesome.
You know what's actually a really good game? And it's a kart racer. I'm trying to find it right now. It's the Mickey Mouse Mickey Racer for the N64. Here it is, Mickey Speedway USA. It's actually
you know what? I remember that. I didn't own that.
It's really good for like what it is. It's actually really. It's not you don't get your battle mode like you do in Mario Kart, but for a racer, it was a good game.
Yeah.
There was other.
So what else? Okay, so we've talked about the game selection for the N64 Mini. We've talked about their release window. What else do we have to talk about for it? We've talked about how they need to fix that goddamn controller.
Yeah, I think that's it for today on topics.
All right. Then I think it's about time to.
All right.
I think we should call it here. It's been pretty long.
Yep, we'll have you on again hopefully next week, Renato.
Oh, because I didn't have my camera this time, make sure to put up a cool picture for my face.
Oh, for you?
Yeah. Put up like I don't know.
What do you want up?
I honestly have no idea. What's good? How's my profile picture for Discord? Is that good? Can you access that?
Let me have a look. Yeah, I can't make it any bigger. No, I can't. As far as I know, at least. Or maybe I can.
Okay.
Profile.
Tell you what, I will send you a picture and you can put that up for me.
Send it over and that's your unofficial photo.
Sounds good.
Okay. Have a good one.